Hello, everybody. Live from Koreatown on a balmy day. It is the OZone. Shout out to Twizzy Twitch and the Lost Visionaries for our theme song, The Cameras on Me. Yeah.
You consider this balmy?
This is maybe my terminology is off, but I consider
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know if the balmy usually to me I think of some kind of humidity or something like a little.
It's
mud.
wet.
It's
just wet out there. I mean, even though my hands have been super dry, but it's I can feel the wetness in my knees. That rain is coming again to SoCal.
It's coming.
It's just unbelievable. Freaking the time this year of El Nino. So I guess this year's the second year we're in La Nina now. I'll pass. I like it when it's dry, almost droughty. But that's not what you're here to talk about. You're here to talk about sports.
Here to put the cameras on you.
Completely partial and unfair. That is the OZone. I'm your host, Omar Miller. Terry Miller is my brother. How are you feeling?
No way. I'm good.
Dude.
No way.
No way, dude. So check it out. Today is impeachment day. And the impeachment that we're going for is of Charles Green, the Rams GM.
I got a banner. I have my banners ready.
Oh, my goodness. What is going on with Ram time?
Your Honor, all right. I like to bring out the inquiries to bring Charles Green under prosecution.
Charles Green shouldn't be impeached for the lack of performance from his players. But that's what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot to cover today, with a lot to cover in boxing. The Major League Baseball hot stove is heating up, but I want to start in football because, like you, I'm sure many of us went into our fantasy football semifinals, if you were fortunate enough to make it that far last week. And I'm here to tell you, on the Yahoo Fantasy Football Sports Recap, the big O backbreakers received a D- grade.
Oh, that's your team, the big old backbreakers.
Yeah.
Nice.
You like that backbreaker?
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I dropped that backbreaker on him. Shout out to the WWF, 80 style. I don't even like that it's called the WWE. But, yeah, that's what happened, folks. I put up a terrible showing. All year, my guys have kind of overachieved. The only person who killed me in fantasy, and I want to hear about how he did for you guys, because who killed me in fantasy was Aaron Rodgers. Destroyed me in fantasy.
So overrated.
All year. And so what did I do? I sat Aaron Rodgers, and I went with Jacoby Brissett because I thought there was going to be a shootout going down in Indianapolis or in New Orleans, wherever it was that they played. And there was not. There was a one-sided shellacking that went down.
I mean, a shellacking. Drew Brees was there to take care of business, company business.
He was not messing around. He wanted to set his record and keep things moving and march straight on to the playoffs.
Especially after they played him out about that play right before half. So he went out there the next half and really showed himself out. He showed
out there and dealt on them. Now, I'm going to read you guys off my fantasy lineup, and I'm going to tell you where I tricked. You guys will already know. Started Jacoby Brissett. Jarvis Landry did nothing. That's not on Jarvis Landry. I put that on Baker Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield was the bust.
Yeah, man. You give him bust 2 years in, that's it.
That's all you get nowadays.
They're trying to call Cam a bust.
Come on, man. You play too much. You can't get Cam is not a bust.
So Jarvis didn't do anything despite the team putting up 24 points. How the Browns decided to lose to the Arizona Cardinals 38-24
right.
with the recently released Terrell Suggs, T-Sizzle is just mind-blowing.
That's gross.
It's gross. So he gave me a little bit of nothing. Michael Thomas was good money.
Michael Thomas is always good. Did you hear this crazy stat about this dude?
Lay it on me.
Man, this dude has only dropped one pass the whole year.
So why does he drop passes on Madden?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. During the year, dude has maybe 130-something targets or something, put his hand on the ball, something crazy like that, and only drop one pass. It's one love.
Has hands across America.
And if you play with him on Madden, he will drop wide open passes. I mean, you're like, come on, dude. This is not real.
Well, let me tell you what he did on Sunday, because I have the stats right in front of me.
I got him myself.
12 receptions, 128 yards, 8 first downs. The man was responsible for 8 first down receptions.
You saw the one-hand grab he had. Look at this. He had 12 targets, 12 receptions, and 120. Don't sleep.
Don't sleep on him. That's a good point. And that would equal good money.
Man.
Then I had Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley actually gave me good money despite the fact that they got blown out.
Well, and they only gave him the ball. He only had 10 attempts, right? He only had 10 rushing attempts.
And he still had a receiving tug, a rushing tug, and 3 receptions.
It's ridiculous.
Went with my man, the young boy up in Oakland in the Raiders' last home game ever in the Oakland Coliseum.
Ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Josh Jacobs. He gave me 89 rushing yards with 4 first downs, 2 receptions, never got to the zona, but I wasn't mad. It was still a decent outing. Now, this is where it also got foggy for me.
Where did it go dark?
0 dark 30. I went with Hunter Henry over Mark Andrews. Hunter Henry gave me 29 yards on 2 receptions with a lost fumble. He was lost
Mission accomplished. Am I out of it?
He killed me. He killed me. And so that was a bust. And the reason I didn't play Mark Andrews, like a lot of you guys, even though Mark Andrews was probably like my highest scoring player the whole season.
They play games.
Is that he played on Sunday. He left the game on Sunday in the first quarter with a busted knee. I have a busted knee. I know how long it takes to get it back together.
But he has a physical therapist on him 24/7.
And he came back on that Thursday, started and balled. Even had a tug, called back and was like, don't trip. I'm back to zona. Mark Andrews balled. It just, anyways.
Sound like you discussed it.
With myself. And then, this is where I really tricked.
Where'd you trick?
I had my finger on the button. I was on the waiver wire.
Hit the finger on the pulse of the community, and what happened?
I was on the waiver wire. I listened to my brother and told me to pick up CJ Prosise.
Which one of your brothers?
You. Yes, it was you. Your Honor, I'd like to bring forward evidence. There's a call that took place last Saturday between Ukraine and Terry Miller, also known as the Icons. He gave false information to Charles Green.
Right now, we're not going to bring that in front of the jury. Right now, we'll take that later on. And right now, we'll...
Oh, Madam Secretary, it's all bad. Because I had my finger on the button, I tried to decide who I was going to get. And I had my finger on Perriman because I was like, you know what? Jameis Winston lights it up out there. Also had my finger. It was between, listen to this. It was between Perriman, Danny Amendola, and Cole Beasley. Who did I choose?
Danny Amendola.
Cole Beasley. Yes! Who gave me a whopping 1 reception for 6 yards.
Yes.
As everybody who plays fantasy knows, Perriman showed his entire ass and put up 3 tugs, 2 in the first.
You didn't have Perriman, no.
That's on my.
I told you about it, and you said that he was on the other guy's team.
No. You were talking about. That's not who you were talking about. You were talking about.
No, I said Perriman because I had Perriman in all of my lineups in FanDuel.
No, you're talking about what?
Yeah,
you didn't tell me that. Yo, what a jerk!
I did tell you. That's what I'm telling you.
Why would I tell me, Tom? You told me to go get CJ.
When I told you about Perriman, you said that the other guy had him on his squad.
He did not.
There's
lying
in you, Tony.
You didn't get any sleep.
There's lying in you, Tony. I have not had sleep.
And now your brain.
I got the bags to prove it.
Oh, my goodness. Anyways, I had Will Lutz, who gave me a solid, 4-point afters made, field goal between 20 and 29 yards, and a field goal between 30 and 39 yards. And then the kicker to cap it all off was that I picked up the Los Angeles Rams defense against the number 1 rated offense in football, who's been garbage in the Dallas Cowboys. And the Rams got destroyed.
Well, the Rams got destroyed simply because of McVay. McVay cost the team once again because they did not run the ball. If you do not run the ball, then your defense is going to suffer.
Well, let's talk about that with Cowboy Kev, but I want to keep going because the other person that I didn't start who actually gave me good money despite not getting into he only got into zone once, was Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, and I could have put him in instead of Cole Beasley. Mm-hmm. Curtis Samuel had 1 tug, 5 receptions for 31 yards. And let me tell you who I was playing. I'm playing Nyambi. And Nyambi is an actor. We have a great league. It's me, Nyambi, John Legend, Andy Roddick, Jay Ellis, John Sadowski, all kind of guys you watch on TV. And there's a lot of trash talk that goes on. And let me tell you what the recap headline is. Big O's backbreakers fall short of expectation, lose to Sooner Bread in a rout.
How you doing?
Whoever that guy is that wrote that recap is a jerk, but he's telling the truth.
Well, why is he a jerk? You don't want to be honest.
No, I do. And so he beat the crap out of me. I am out. Yeah. That was the semis. How did your team do? Nyambi, we know how you did because you had Deshaun Watson. I don't even want to read it off. Deshaun Watson, Christian McCaffrey, who is arguably the greatest player other than Lamar Jackson in fantasy football. Yeah. Allen Robinson, also a stud. Cortland Sutton. Kareem Hunt, Jared Cook, Devonta Freeman, Butker the kicker, and the Baltimore defense. And you proceeded to blow me out.
He got crazy zooted.
He went up and got a bag of dust on the roof.
And got crazy zooted.
So either way it goes, I'm out. And to continue talking about this NFL, we're going to cut to Trucker Dave.
Hey, fellas, what's going on?
Trucker Dave. on the highways and byways of this beautiful country, the United States of America. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's so good for our country.
It's almost winter, and you are on the roads. Where are you at today in this fine nation?
Illinois, good old Illinois.
All right. Well, we're talking about the NFL, and we're talking about how I blew my fantasy game because I studied long and studied wrong.
Isn't that a trip how you can look at it too long and get it wrong?
That's exactly what I did.
You just overthink it. You go down the rabbit hole of numbers.
It was just unbelievable.
Yep.
And you don't know what these guys are going to do.
No.
Only thing you know is that Aaron Rodgers is going to be more concerned with looking good and getting help from the refs than actually throwing touchdowns.
Man, he gives you that one early.
Yeah, that's about it. Now, what we want to talk to you about is your beloved New England Patriots have been found once again on this impeachment day guilty of using video technology to cheat, of all people, the Cincinnati Bengals.
That is crazy.
What is going on?
Well, you know what I think is? I think they didn't have any information on Cincinnati because they have a new coach. So they sent the scouting guy, but it's almost like, could you guys be that dumb? Because it's going to cost them at least a first-round draft pick.
At least.
I mean, but this is an epidemic in sports right now. If you look, and it kind of, to me, it bleeds over and it mirrors society. We have become a society that incentivizes cheating. And it's a win at all cost mentality for the world now. And we can look at it. I'd like to pinpoint it to go right back to start with Alex Rodriguez, especially.
It's always go back to A-Rod.
Even though he's not the sole reason, but he's the best example.
Yeah, of how somebody got rewarded for cheating.
A-Rod cheated his entire career, potentially even in high school with the juice. He finally clutched up. Finally, he had the karmic justice that we always saw was, although he cheated, he could never perform in the postseason, and it was embarrassing. Like to the point where fans despised him. He finally got on a team where he clutched up and where they were good enough to win regardless of his performance, more or less. But he did clutch up in 2009 for the Yankees. They win the World Series. You come to find he was on the juice then too, after throwing numerous, and I'm taking a long way home, but stay with me. After throwing numerous journalists and so on and so forth under the bus, they continue to pay him, despite the fact that they could have voided his contract for behavioral and clauses. Mm-hmm. They continue to pay him the rest of his $500 million. He gets out of the game.
They ran him out of the game.
They paid him to not play. Did not play. And yet, within 2 years, he was back on television announcing Sunday Night Baseball in the World Series with terrible analysis of the game because he never knows what's about to happen. And Jessica Mendoza picks him up, just like Derek Jeter had to pick him up his whole career, and Ken Griffey Jr. had to pick him up before that. And yet, he's rewarded. Now, we're looking at the same thing with the Houston Astros. It's been confirmed that they use video to cheat, and on the run, and even beyond. And now we're looking at the New England Patriots, arguably the greatest NFL franchise in the history of the league.
And maybe this is why.
And perhaps this is actually why. What is going on?
Man, it just makes you think that. I mean, you said so much that's so true. I don't have anything to say.
You know what kills me about the situation?
I want to get that off my chest. It really bothers me.
Yeah, but what kills me about the situation is there's always a guy out there that falls on the sword. The videographer is suspended.
I know.
Right.
This dude is following orders.
No juice.
I have no juice. You told me to go do this. Now, if I get caught, it's all on you.
Right, I'm the camera guy.
And you know what the funny thing about it is this. Okay, so Belichick is such a genius, right? But then he's such a genius, but then all of a sudden he's stupid to the fact that he knows nothing about this guy.
Right.
Who is this guy?
Man.
I don't even know he was on the payroll, this guy.
now they just suspended the guy and made him look all bad. You know, it's like, man, he was obviously taught to do that. So, and
That guy didn't come up with that on his own.
Right. Yeah. Let me go video. Maybe they'll buy it from me.
It was not an independent production.
It was not he didn't go guerrilla.
And if he didn't get caught, he wasn't going to show that videotape to Belichick. Okay. All right.
Yeah, exactly. This was for myself.
And this makes me
for my fantasy team.
But this makes me question your greatness when you have to cheat against the Cincinnati Bengals, who are one of the worst, if not the worst team in the league. In the league. Why do you have to cheat against them? I know your offense is sputtering, but this is too far. Come on, man.
It goes way too far, man. You can't justify these actions, and they're going to pay for it this time, man. A lot of people are calling for Belichick to get fired.
But will they? But the point is how many passes do you get? This is the fourth offense now, and the thing is, why? Not only why is it the Bengals? Why is it that when you're in a position of power and you do something wrong or cheat, the consequences are so much less than when you're actually in need or the little guy that's doing it? If you go rob a grocery store right now for some actual food that you may need, and you're a regular Joe that's on food stamps or X, Y, and Z, there's a good chance that you might get some time. And you go do some white-collar crime and steal a bunch of money from people's pension funds and X, Y, and Z. You get a slap on the wrist, you pay a fine, and your kids keep going to private school.
Well, I even go deeper than that.
They're 10,000 leagues under the sea.
I don't need to go 10. Man, you trying to drown me. But they got what's-his-face, that police officer in Aurora, Colorado, just today that they announced that was drunk at the wheel. And
he lied.
And no, he didn't. He was too drunk to lie.
Oh,
the police.
I didn't see this
police chief.
That was Chicago.
The police chief just let him off with a slap on the wrist. But we
Chicago.
need to have sympathy for him. Come on, dude.
Where's my sympathy?
You're right. If I get caught, they're talking about it on the news. If I get caught drunk driving, I'm probably going to, in California, you're probably going to pay the first offense is like what?
10 G's.
10, 15 G's?
Yeah, you need it.
Lose your license?
Lose your license.
The whole works. This dude is not, I think they just suspended him.
He has dedicated himself to being
a higher level,
subject to a higher judgment by being a law enforcement individual.
Right.
Now in Chicago, the one that I was thinking of, Trucker Dave, was where the cop got caught behind the wheel taking a nap off to the side, and they asked him what was up, and he was like, "Oh no, I was taking a nap." You come to find he was drunk, out his mind. He's been driving around.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
With his medication. Oh well, let's go as recently as today. Look at Tekashi 6ix9ine facing a minimum 47. He only got 2 years.
Wow.
I mean, that dude.
But he told on everybody. He killed some people. They deemed him responsible for the murder.
Wow.
Yeah. And the lady in the witness statement came out, she got shot in the foot.
He
got off.
That's got to hurt.
This is society.
Months. So that's what it is. I mean, when you come out, you're like more famous than you were before you went in.
Yeah.
So going back to what you said, there is a reward for cheating. We were told don't do it
in society.
But it's like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. It's only cheating if you get caught.
It's true.
And it ascends to the highest levels. And so now what we as fans and former athletes look to sport for is fairness. You're looking for the justice of the fact of saying, I did my work on my needed skill.
Exactly. I stayed in the gym. I stayed on the field.
I stayed in the cages. I stayed in the weight room. I watched what I ate. I did it better than the other guy did it. And when we started, the game was 0-0. And the game always starts at 0-0, and then from there, whatever happens, happens. That's not what we're seeing when teams like the Astros, like the Patriots. Now, these are just the teams that we see that have gotten caught.
Yeah,
this is not like these are the only teams.
Yeah, there are other teams out there that are cheating.
And these are like the only teams that do it the best,
Yeah, but then again, if you really look at it, I mean, the whole system, look at the referees. I mean, you think the game's going to be fair, and then a referee comes and decides the game with a bad call. So it's cheating all the way down the line.
Yeah, and
it's so much politics involved in it.
So it's just unreal.
Yeah, and we're going to cover that. That big article about the referees in the NBA cheating.
Yeah, we got to go over that eventually.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're a fool if you believe that there was only one ref that was cheating on games and betting on games.
Yeah, in the NBA.
And the NBA did an incredible job of covering up and sweeping under the rug and just moving forward. Because once again, he was the fall guy.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many games I watched that he was not officiating
right
between 1995 And 2005, 6 probably was my peak NBA fandom.
Your peak work.
Yeah, it was my peak work. And in college, we used to watch every Sunday, and it's back when it seemed like the Knicks played the Heat every Sunday. And if it wasn't the Knicks and the Heat, then it was Michael Jordan and the Bulls playing the Knicks. There was a lot of games that got decided by these suspect situations. With that being said, Trucker Dave, what do you see happening heading into the postseason? Do you think the Patriots are going to hold on to the number 1 seed? Are they out of there? What do you think is going to happen? Because I personally don't believe that they make it back to the Super Bowl without the first round bye.
Well, they're going to get. They might get the first round bye, but they have a difficult game this week in playing Buffalo. They may beat Buffalo at home. They may not beat them at home, but I like the Patriots to get the first round bye, but I can't see them going to Baltimore. I can't see them beating the Texans. I can't see them beating the Chiefs. Everybody's saying, well, Belichick didn't show everything, and if he plays Lamar Jackson again, hey, let me tell you something. You're going to get embarrassed, man.
You're going to get embarrassed.
Nowadays.
You're going to get embarrassed. Because those young guys aren't scared. They're not intimidated, and they don't care if you watch the practice on tape. Watch it. You can't stop Lamar Jackson. How about that?
Hey, but there's some big moves that got made. I like Kansas City going into the playoffs, picking up Terrell Suggs, and I like the Saints picking up Janoris Jenkins. You know, so you're picking up veteran players that know how to play, and that's going to be big in the playoffs. But I think a team going in the playoffs that if they get in, that could be scary. I think the Tennessee Titans, because they play good defense, they can run the ball.
Nobody wants to see Henry out there with
No.
You can't stop him.
No.
That's an old school running back.
You can't stop him.
And they're giving them the ball.
Yeah, and I was surprised.
Which is opening it up for Ryan Tannehill.
Show out.
Oh, what a game that San Francisco.
Yeah.
And how about that? We talked about it off air. Well, I don't know what's wrong with the Falcons, but they've pulled it together late in the second half of the season. And if they would have been playing like this all year, we'd be having a whole different conversation about the Falcons and the NFC South.
Well, the Falcons need an offensive coordinator more than they need anything.
Clearly.
They really do.
Clearly. When they lost what's-his-name, they've never been the same. They have the personnel.
Jones, that's shame on you. And then, they showed if they use him correctly, what you can do. He beat San Francisco.
Yeah.
He can beat anybody.
Give him the ball.
He's still the best. He needs the ball. He needs the ball. All right, Trucker Dave. Well, thanks for calling in. Be careful out there. Winter's approaching. I hope you have a happy holiday.
All right. See you guys later on.
Peace.
Always an insightful conversation with Trucker Dave out on the road
Right.
to America. He really is a Patriots fan, and you could hear how disappointed he was in these antics that they're taking forward to become winners. What is being a winner really? You have to ask yourself, folks, are you okay? Are you okay with this version of winning in life? Because it supersedes sports. It becomes about you. And unfortunately, this is a cultural problem. It's a cultural weakness that we have in America.
It is.
It's really weak. It's really, really weak. We portray it as
shows our flaws,
but it's really, really weak. We would rather win with it being rigged in any other way than to actually have a fair game. I'm just talking about a fair game.
Right.
You might actually win.
That shows the lack of confidence and lack of preparation because you didn't prepare, so now you're afraid that you can't do it.
If the New England Patriots can beat the Cincinnati Bengals without cheating, they should just wrap it up.
And they had a problem.
They did. They jumped out on them.
Wow, really?
I looked at the score. I was like, whoa.
They got that tape. They got that tape. They didn't get this here, Joe.
Hey, why you didn't tell me? Cowboy Kev, we out here debating breakfast burritos. The Icons told me he got the best breakfast burrito in Los Angeles, and now I asked about it, and they don't even know.
It's not a breakfast burrito. It's
what
a
is
sandwich. It's a egg, bacon, and what is it? It's on some kind of bun, Texas toast. It's not a burrito.
That sounds like a bacon and egg sandwich to me. That don't sound like a burrito, but
egg
it
yolk
sounds good.
Egg Tuck.
Egg Tuck. Shout out to Egg Tuck.
Egg Tuck is the bomb, man.
Egg Tuck. Free ad.
Egg Tuck.
If you're in Koreatown in Los Angeles, stop by Egg Tuck. But
Koreatown, very good.
There you go. But if you happen to be by the Coliseum for a star for Dallas, Texas, because they got a little bit of get back on the Rams from last year's playoff game.
Cowboy Kev, you got some explaining to do.
Cowboy Kev, we've had an
Absolutely.
APB. We've had an APB out on you for the last 5 weeks since the Cowboys have disappeared. What is going on down in Texas, and how are you still going to pull out this weak division and make the playoffs, despite the fact that everybody that watches football knows you shouldn't be there? Speak on it.
Well, you have these moments in, every division. There's a year where the division just it's down. Philly has been disappointing this year. Obviously we have been disappointed this year, but it happens. But with that said, we're still in position to make the playoff, win the division, make the playoffs, and make a statement. I think the way things have transpired with playing the Rams this week, a game that still is fresh on the mind from last year's playoffs. They wanted to come out and, prove that they could beat the Rams, who were, on a little bit of momentum themselves. And so that's the first big win of a team over 500. They came out and showed what obviously everybody expected them to play like throughout the whole season. But they played well. We got some momentum now. Obviously, if you can't get motivated for Sunday, you might as well hang your cleats up and retire. This is it. If you don't win this game, the season's over. So I think they're excited. I think they understand that everybody's looked in the mirror, because there's been plenty of blame to go around from the I'll say the GM, Jerry Jones, down to the coaching staff on offense and defense, to the players themselves. And so last week against the Rams was a bit of a statement, but there's still more work to be done. And I believe, they want to prove that the team we saw against the Rams Sunday is a team that they want to show that they can be going forward. So we'll see how it all plays out. I think Philly is, they got a lot of injuries. So I think obviously we have the better team. I think we'll show up. We'll beat Philly in Philly. It'll be a good game because it's a division game. But we've had success against Philly the last few years, so I don't see.
You don't see them being much of a problem, especially since they're all beat
I don't
up.
see them being exactly.
That's who else.
Exactly, and the way they struggled against the Redskins last week, they had to. Man, Carson Wentz really had to pull a rabbit out of his hat to pull that one off. But
he doesn't have anybody. He's out there. He's him and Zach Ertz are just a two-man team.
But then they let Miles Sanders tear him apart. I think the Phillies going to win. Dallas is
of course.
Dallas
Dallas
is
is nothing less. I wouldn't expect anything less from the Icon.
Dallas is a team full of pretenders with a bad coach, a bad owner, bad play, bad scheme. I mean, they are underachievers, dude. When are they ever going to live up to their potential?
Well, like we said, it starts at the top from the GM.
No, from their owner,
Jerry.
Who is the GM?
Well, he's the GM as well. He's not the GM as well.
Well, look, because as an owner, I think he's done, a hell of a job. But as GM is where he should have been fired. And a lot of the things that I think we have gone on for the last, just take Jason Garrett's tenure as coach would not have gone on, because another coach would not, allow themselves to continually year in after year without having any real say, any real power to coach the team the way they want to. There's no reason that, you have a Hall of Fame, Pro Bowl line, offensive line, Pro Bowl running back that's led the league the last couple years since he's been in, with the team. And now this year you come into the year and all of a sudden you want to be a passing team. It doesn't make sense.
Dak had to prove
it doesn't make sense. You know, some of the same things the Rams have been going on with Gurley.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh my goodness.
So it you know, it
These
just
guys
it
are
changes
effective
the whole
when you give them
landscape
the ball.
of the exactly because
It's
when
not a
you,
fluke.
when you
Zeke is not a fluke. Todd
not a
Gurley's
fluke.
not a fluke.
Yeah, you gotta-
can't stop them.
you
They
gotta
know what they're
put-
doing.
you got to put pressure on your linemen, the offensive line to step up and, you know, create the holes you've been creating. You getting paid, you know, top dollar for that reason. Step it up. No matter how much they stack the box, we got to get it done because when we control the clock, time of possession, it changes the landscape of the game. Now, you know, defense still has to do their part and not allow the big plays and, you know, create some turnovers. But you look at last week, they did all of that. You know, you had, 2 turnovers by the defense, you know, big stops on third down. So when they get it clicking on all cylinders, they're a dangerous team. So getting in the playoffs, I think that'll happen. You know, winning one, anything is possible in one game. You know, teams show up and you never know what can happen, but you got to get there.
Now, if I remember correctly, there was a bet made about an over-under with them being at 11 wins. I think it was 10 was the over-under. And you were certain that the Cowboys were looking at it.
So see what had happened was what I didn't realize was Jerry Jones also has a hold on our offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and he he stressed to him that he wanted to see Dak throw at least, 35 plus times a game. And so I think that changed the whole dynamic of the team.
And what happened to the kicker? Did Jerry Jones have a hold over the kicker as well?
Now, yeah. So that mistake was made 2 years ago when he didn't re-sign Bailey. Bailey's one of the best kickers in NFL history.
Exactly. Why would you not resign?
Why would you not resign? Because he didn't want to pay him. And so that's been big. What's his name? Mayer that they just cut. He's so inconsistent. Some of those games last year that we were able to pull out was because of field goals, where this year, he's made the 60-plus yard field goals and then missed, 40 yards and in. He's less than 500. Yeah.
Man.
And so that's a big difference. And, you look at the Saints game, we lose by 2 points. The Green Bay obviously looking like a blowout, but made a comeback late that, there was a couple field goals missed there, the Jets game. So sometimes
basically,
your kicker plays.
You see a lot of flaws, but I also hear a lot of optimism for seeing that there's clear room for improvement. Do you think it's possible to get in the playoffs and make some noise?
It's definitely possible to get in the playoffs. We beat Philly, we're in the playoffs.
No, I'm just saying it makes some noise. My
Are
question is,
are you going to double down?
My question is, that's it. I just want to know if you're going to double down because I need to know exactly how long is it going to take for the Dallas Cowboys to revert to the Dallas Cowboys?
Hey, it's any given Sunday. We know that our record shows. I think one of the coaches said your record shows who you are, and so one Sunday we can put up 44 points against the Rams, who have solid defense, the above 500 team, and then the next Sunday we can show that we can be down 31-7 against the Jets at halftime. That has been suffering, is one of the lowest teams on offensive efficiency, and so you never know what we're gonna get. But obviously, we know what we're capable of. And so once we get to the playoffs, I think excitement, the motivation, the opportunity, remembering where they got last year, it's possible to get one game. And once you get one game, you build momentum and confidence, you can get another game.
Or
First game will be
you
at
listen
home.
to the GM and the owner and your coach, and you go back home and we see you at the barbecue. All right, Cowboy Kev, always a pleasure. We love you. Even though you're not from Dallas, we're going to go ahead and brand you a homer. We will check in with you next week after the game and see if Dallas will be able to even make a 500 record, let alone get to 11 wins.
That's okay. I love you guys as well, and we will see next Sunday. Excited and ready to go into the playoffs. Confident as ever.
Cowboy Kev out. You can't even say that with a straight face. Get this guy off the line.
I'm trying to hold it.
All right, Kev. See you soon.
All right.
Oh, man. Like, even Cowboy fans, it hurts when your team doesn't want to act right, and that's where I am right now, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles/Oakland Raiders have played their last game.
Paid their last bad game.
As a home team in California until the Raiders, somebody gets involved in a fight with a stripper at a gambling establishment known as a casino where they place a wager on the game at the stadium in Vegas and they have to move again.
They wouldn't do that. That would be wrong.
But something very unfortunate happened in Oakland on Sunday. The kid, Josh Jacobs, showed up. His shoulder was messed up, but he still played. He actually played well. The Raiders were up. The crowd was hype. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars took the proverbial dump on the Raiders' cornflakes. And what ended up happening was a comeback that actually led to a chorus of boos in very appropriate Raider Nation black hole fashion. For the last game, the Raiders were booed off the field. And it was
Classic.
And it was an aggressive scene. Go Raider Nation. I have 2 more weeks until our divorce is final, and that'll be it for me and the Raiders.
They ought to be ashamed of themselves.
Lost the last game at the Coliseum against a bum squad.
Like you said to the Jaguars.
It's not like you guys played, and you know that was
Play Seattle or San
it was
Francisco.
like they set up that schedule as a layup for them on purpose.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
Too much pressure in their layup.
Lights out.
Wow.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, folks, going to move to the world of boxing. Big news happening all over boxing this time of year. It's the end of the year, and everybody wants to know and review the year in boxing and have their fight of the year picks and so on and so forth. We may even give you an espresso shot, which is only that. But we got big news, and to me, the big news is Tyson Fury leaving his trainer, Ben Davidson, and heading back to his roots at Kronk Gym, founded by Hall of Famer, rest in peace, Emmanuel Stewart.
Right.
This is a big move because I felt like, as did Freddie Roach, when he was helping in the corner for the first fight against Deontay Wilder, that if they would have pressed the issue, they might have been able to get Deontay Wilder out of there.
That's true. I mean, he looked dominant against Deontay.
Sure did. And Ben Davidson was at, I wonder how much of this has to do with Ben Davidson being at Deontay Wilder's last fight and watching him knock out King Kong Ortiz, and then say, and then come out afterwards to all the fighting blogs and say, clearly he is the hardest puncher in the division and maybe of all time. That's not in question. And it was almost like praise that he was heaping upon him. And
he went too far.
He didn't add any, but my guy's better. But my guy got up when he got hit. There was none of that.
He went too far.
And he was very impressed with Deontay's work against Luis Ortiz.
And the way that they made it sound like is that he went out there on a scouting expedition.
Yes,
basically to scout Deontay Wilder and
to see where he was.
Got caught up in the emotion of the fight.
He got caught up. That knockout was too much for him. Cost him his gig.
I mean, he had a great game plan, which wasn't too difficult for Deontay Wilder, to beat him, and Tyson Fury had the discipline to stick to that game plan.
Yes.
And I pretty much just incorporate that with a little bit more conditioning, and I think that you guys can take his belt.
Man, and he's been holding that belt for almost 5 years.
Yeah.
Almost 5 years. And I'm very interested to see. The other big news was that post that you sent me that just has to be a joke.
It wasn't.
Unbelievable. And the two-time champion, heavyweight champion, who has all the belts more or less,
yes,
Anthony Joshua, reached out publicly to Tyson Fury and said, hey, if you need a sparring partner for your fight against Deontay Wilder for the rematch, I'm there for you. We're going to fight eventually, me and you, but I'm willing to be your sparring partner for this.
That's crazy, right?
And Tyson Fury, this must be a British thing. It was dope to read. It was really exciting. Right? Because then Tyson Fury responds with, I hope you weren't kidding because I could use you.
And that's great, man.
I would pay to go see that sparring.
Right. And the thing of it is that Anthony Joshua is so humble, and a lot of people don't like the guy because he doesn't walk around with the bravado or whatever, the machismo or however you want to put it on him. But he's just honest. He said, you know what? I'll learn a lot from even sparring against a guy like that.
And he will.
He will because he said he's
really recommit himself to the gym.
Uh-huh.
To the game of boxing.
Not to the weight room, but to the gym. To boxing.
To the boxing gym.
Because when he beat Andrew Ruiz last weekend, what he did was put on a boxing clinic, which he stayed on his toes. He fought like a fighter did back in the 70s and 80s. He's,
Nah, you can't go that far.
No, he did. He formatted his style after that.
Yeah, but he did not fight it to the execution of the level of the 70s heavyweights because those guys also, somebody is on the mat. In every 70s heavyweight fight, somebody's on the mat.
But most of them aren't fighting against a guy who weighs 300 pounds. If none of them are.
But if they were, he would be on the mat early.
I don't know.
George Foreman.
George Foreman, but we're talking about an anomaly.
Putting you on the mat.
Two guys. And everybody else is going to
Larry Holmes ain't going to get you on the mat after all them jabs in 15? Are you crazy?
But I'm saying that.
Are you crazy?
But his style, he patterned.
Ron Lyle?
I'm still 300 pounds is a lot of man.
Guess what? Them ones and twos have the answer. To
a lot of man, and it takes 15 rounds to get you out of there. It doesn't take 12.
Because the thing that Andy Ruiz had exposed that AJ didn't have the skill set to expose was that 300 pounds to the body. There was no body work because he was so concerned with, lowering himself, which I understand. It was a very cautious thing. And I agree with what Tyson Fury said, which was I'd rather win a fight in a cautious manner than lose spectacularly so that the fight fans can be happy about a spectacular fight.
Sounds like that's what you wanted, though.
No, that's not what I wanted. I'm not mad at him. I just I'm not going to give him extra accolades as though.
What's extra accolades did I give him? I told him he fought his fight he patterned his fight after the guys from the 70s or 80s.
Said that he fought just like those guys in the 70s.
Well, I'm still saying that he fought those. Yes, he did. He did.
Those guys get you on your back, though, T.
Not all of them. No, they don't. Not all of them do.
Joe Frazier don't put guys on their back. I'm not even talking about knocking them out. I'm talking about getting you off your feet.
But like I said before, back in the day, the heavyweights did not weigh anywhere close to what the heavyweights weigh now.
Madam Secretary, we have once again sidestepped the facts because Senator Miller cannot defend his statement.
I did defend my statement.
No.
Facts. Did not.
Oh, my
300 pounds of man is a lot of man. I can't remember one guy, the closest person probably to weigh close to 300 back in the day was George Foreman. I think he was probably like 250, 240.
Yeah, but that's because that sort of weight is not good. It's not conducive to being a successful boxer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. I mean that.
So, but to imply that those guys would just
topping out at 6 feet tall.
Yeah, but to imply that these guys would just get a guy that 300 pounds off of his feet is not being honest.
And that's not true. It is being honest.
It would take close to 15 rounds to get a guy 300 pounds. Even with George Foreman and Ron Lyle's fault, and they went toe to toe for 15 rounds. They didn't even go 15 rounds. I think
4 rounds.
Yeah, they didn't even go 15.
It went 4 rounds.
Yeah,
that's I'm saying to tell you.
Theirs went longer than 4 rounds.
No, it didn't. Ron Lyle and George Foreman?
Yeah.
They went 4 rounds.
No, let me look it up.
Maybe 5. I do believe they went 4 rounds. In a fight that if you haven't seen, go watch on YouTube.
Great fight.
It's arguably the greatest heavyweight fight of all time.
It
is a great fight. It is a rock'em sock'em robot. And
loving it.
And so I wasn't overly impressed. But either way it goes, I wasn't overly impressed with him not getting him off his feet. But I was impressed with the fact that he had the discipline to stay with his fight. And man, oh man, would I be impressed to see him join up to fight. That would have to motivate Deontay Wilder in a way that I can't even. Man, if you read that, I'm surprised Deontay hasn't come out and said anything.
But what can Deontay say? Because Deontay really has not done anything to even act like he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua, really. I mean, now that the guy's got his belts back and he has a lot to say. But before that, he was sending out, condolences and, he wasn't what we thought he was. He was celebrating as if he had beat him.
He celebrated as though he beat him without question.
Yeah, and now, he's grumbling and he's mumbling, but I haven't heard him say anything about them getting it on.
Yeah. Well, in other action, Did you find out how long the fight was?
I'm digging it up right now, child.
In other action that has taken place over the weekend, Terrence Bud Crawford fought the Mean Machine out of, I do believe, Lithuania, and actually had a little trouble early. And a lot of fight fans are talking about now, suddenly, everybody wants to talk about how he would fare against Errol Spence, and they don't believe that it would be what they once thought it was. Now, I didn't get to see that whole fight. I was at an event, but I got to see it after I was on Twitter, and I saw everybody saying that Bud got knocked down and didn't.
They didn't call it.
You
didn't see the.
I didn't see the knockdown. I couldn't find it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They keeping it under wraps.
Yeah, I kept looking. I was looking for it. They showed all of his highlights when he knocked the dude out.
Yeah, no, he put him down. He hit him hard too. And Bud,
he hit him hard from the point that I saw. I saw from the fourth or fifth round on.
And Bud looked like he was, he was in trouble. The first half of that fight, he was in trouble. He turned it up. What he did do was show a champion's heart, but he was in trouble, man. I mean, and
there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. He got up off the floor and won.
If anything, it's more impressive.
Yeah,
and I'm tired of everybody acting like there's something wrong with a guy getting hit or a guy
in a fight
down in a fight from another high-end guy that's a two-time Olympian.
Come on.
So what can you do? He ended up getting that guy out of there.
In a nice fashion, too.
Did. Bullied him out of there.
He did.
And so, I'm not really mad at Bud's performance. And I am more concerned with the health of Errol Spence because Bob Arum came out and said he had insider information that the fight won't happen between them in 2020 or 2021 because of what he deems, and he won't out his source, as credible information that says Errol Spence's health from the accident still remains to be seen if he'll be back in the ring at all and ready to fight at the championship level.
And legal issues.
Soon. And legal issues. Really, really unfortunate. Man, and do I love watching Errol Spence Jr. fight. So now all eyes have shifted to a fight potentially between Bud Crawford and Sean Porter, who we know is always game.
He's ready to go right now.
He's ready to go. And how about your boy Tim Bradley catching a lot of flack, a lot of grief for his post-fight antics.
I watched
his rant.
I was like, what are you doing?
It looked like Andre Ward was looking at him like, what are you
bugging it out.
You're bugging it out right now, B.
He lost his, and not only that, why do they keep acting like the fighters won't fight Bud Crawford? That's not the problem. Bob Arum is the problem. Bob Arum is stopping him from being able to leave that stable to go out and fight the other big opponents that are out there for him to fight.
Well, he's the only guy that Arum has at 47. And he has a belt, and it needs to be protected. Not that I don't think it's Bud. I don't think Bud is fighting anybody. And honestly, you're crazy if you don't think Bud gives a fight to anybody in the league. He gives a great fight to anybody in the league, and chances are 90% of the guys he's going to beat. I never thought he could beat Errol Spence, but I
don't think he can beat Sean.
I was just about to say, I think he's going to be under a lot of pressure from Sean because the guy needs to he's notorious for starting slow. And clearly, the Mean Machine noticed that and said, you know what? I'm going straight after him. And he had him in trouble, didn't have enough to get him out of there. And Bud is a champion, and he showed the heart of a champion, and he came back. In other action, Teofimo Lopez won in spectacular fashion, at which point he was very interested in getting verbal and vocal and calling out Vasily Lomachenko. He said he wants all the smoke. He's going to knock that effer out because he doesn't like his ass. I think that's big talk. And Teofimo's good. I like Teofimo.
You don't think he got him, though? I
don't know. Vasily Lomachenko is good, despite what everybody thinks that I seem to think about him. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying he needs more. I need more evidence than 12 fights to crown him the greatest pound for pound. But I think it's going to be I think that's going to be a good fight. If they say since he got Comey out of there, they're talking about February 29th. The real superstar potentially is Golden Boy's Virgil Ortiz Jr., though.
Man, that guy looks great.
Are you kidding me?
Man, he looks good.
He did.
Was this your first time seeing him?
No, I've seen him fight before. And we've spoken about him, actually. Me and Ellie spoke about him on air before. That kid can go. He's got it all. And he's a part of that Garcia family of boxing, and they teach you how to get it done the right way.
I mean, he looks great, dude.
There's nothing to stop him from going all the way to the top.
And the guy that he fought was actually just not like a journeyman. That guy had skill set.
He sure did.
He was sticking and moving and everything, but he got caught with a couple of good shots, and he actually hit Ortiz with
He did, and Ortiz wore him.
He wore him. He walked through him.
Man, that kid is serious. And staying in that Garcia camp, it's been announced that Mikey Garcia will fight Jesse Vargas and has signed with Matchroom and Eddie Hearn. This is going to be interesting I think it was only a 1 or 2 fight deal, and which makes sense because Mikey is, after getting frozen out of the league for 2 or 3 years by Bob Arum and his dispute with Top Rank, you can see why he would be reluctant to sign a long-term deal.
Right.
It's not necessarily what he's looking for. But I'm interested to see the fight. It'll be Mikey's first time back in the ring since that lopsided beating he took from Earl Spence. But now this will be interesting to see. Do you know if this fight is at 40?
I don't know where it is right now because they've been sort of vague with it so far. So I don't know what the weight is.
And he's staying at 147.
Is he?
Wow, look at that. I wonder why he's doing that.
I mean, he's getting older, so maybe it's easier for him to carry that weight.
Maybe. I mean, but he's unbeatable at 140 and below.
I know, but
nobody beats Mikey at 140 and below.
But it's harder for him to
I'm sure. And
he's going to lose a little bit.
And Top Rank will never give him that fight, which is the biggest fight to make down there against Vasily Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm. We know that.
Yeah, we know they won't give him the fight, which is terrible. But going on this weekend.
And Foreman, they went 5 rounds.
It was 5 rounds. Yeah.
And you know what? Ron Lyles was 34 years old, which is crazy, boy.
He did the time in the pen.
And Foreman was 27.
He was in the pen. I want to say he did 5. Something crazy. Like, he did hard time. If you haven't seen it, watch that documentary Facing Ali. They talked to Ron Lyles directly, and he talked about doing 1,000 push-ups an hour off a bowl of spinach. This dude was hard, and he was mean.
Hard puncher, too.
Yeah, and a tough fighter. And he talked about how fighting Muhammad Ali changed his life, the trajectory of his life, which is great. And so this weekend coming up, where we are going to be, is matter of fact, have you checked in on the tickets? We got to get a ticket game together.
I got to hit him.
Unless we got to go buy them. With Jermell Charlo versus Tony Harrison from Detroit. And boy, oh boy, he's talking stupid at the weigh-in and everything.
If you go back and look at that fight, Harrison did not win, and it wasn't really even close to me.
And we're going to see, because we know good and well that Charlo and Derrick James want their belts back.
They want them back. They need to have them back in the stable.
Yeah, and it's going to be taking place in Ontario, California, folks. If you are interested, if you're in the area, it should be a good night of fighting out in Ontario. Charlo brother, Little Charlo as he's known, Jermell, fighting Tony Harrison. Also taking place this weekend, friend of the Ozone, King Gabe Rosado is back in the ring out in Phoenix on Friday, which is an event that's headlined by Danny Jacobs versus Chavez Jr. And so it's a big week for boxing and wrapping it up for the year. Going to be time to see who gives us fight of the year and who wins the fight of the year, round of the year, all that good stuff. He also got on here word of, unfortunately, Vladimir Klitschko talking a comeback. Looks like he's
43 years old.
Looks like he's not impressed by the heavyweights of today.
But he really hasn't taken that much punishment.
No, not over the last 12 years. I mean, the only person that really touched him up was
Joshua.
And
that might be enough.
That is enough at 43.
Yeah, and that's big man pop.
Yeah.
He was a great champion, but it just seems like it's so hard to put him down.
It's so hard to put the gloves down.
Yeah.
Right? You've done everything. You were a champ for like 10 years. You held the belt.
Right, just like Evander's talking about coming back.
Wow.
I mean, come on,
Don't do it.
Don't do it. These guys, the young guys, are going to rip you a new one.
Yeah, and you're going to end up in a bad space. Speaking of a bad space, shout out to the champ. Leon Spinks had a health event, and his wife is calling for thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, they hadn't said what's wrong with him, though.
No, which usually isn't the greatest sign.
It's a lot of punishment in the sport of boxing.
A lot of punishment
that catches up with you later on. That's why
it seems like it catches up to you all at once.
Yeah, and it's a need for them to have some kind of health care or benefits or something.
Yeah,
because these guys get in a bad way like this, and then we don't know Leon's situation, but I can't imagine that he's too well off that he can stay in hospital for so long without breaking his family.
Yeah. So shout out to the champ. And we're praying for him, for sure. Also, we have former pound-for-pound king Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez is fighting December 23rd. He's taking on a fellow named Diomel Diosos. And a tune-up fight, he said it's necessary to get him back in title contention next year. He says his manager said Roman is highly motivated. He's looking sharp, and his knee is back to normal, even better. Roman's eager to showcase that his knee is in great condition after surgery and that with God's help, he will be the junior bantamweight king once again. We understand that it takes one step at a time, but he is more than ready. Very interested to see if he can regain his former dominance. It's going to be difficult. And whatever happened to the tie, homie? That's what I want to know.
Had,
just like
had girl problems. He disappeared off the map.
You're having girl problems. I feel bad for you, son.
Messed up his mind, scrambled his eggs off.
Did.
He hasn't been able to make that comeback. He looked terrible his last fight.
He sure did. His mind is all messed up. And speaking of which, Canelo vacated his WBO light heavyweight title and thus moving back down. As he should have. And I actually spoke to someone the other day who felt like you, who felt like Kovalev took an actual direct monetary dive.
No question.
So, and then the final piece we want to cover in boxing is an unfortunate one, and it's that Adrian Broner is on the hook for $830,000 for sexual assault in a club that he pleaded guilty to, and that a civil court decided that he needed to pay for. He pleaded guilty, right? That was like the if I remember reading that correctly. Hold on, because it's all on TMZ Sports. I really hope that Adrian Broner gets. I really hope that he gets himself together.
I know he didn't appear in court and didn't defend himself or contest the charges, which led to a default judgment.
Yeah, and more legal problems as well, because Josh Taylor actually ran into some problems being on a drunk bender out in Scotland and cussed out and dropped some homophobic slurs apparently and cussed out a doorman of Asian descent, and that he actually said that he agrees he was out of line.
So now he's got somebody about to pat their pockets on him.
Yeah. Oh, look at this. And now it seems Anthony Joshua's already regretting his public offer to spar Tyson Fury. When I look back at some of the ish I say, mate, I say, why'd I say that? You know? What am I doing, mate? Yeah, but this thing with Broner is really unfortunate.
We're watching a guy literally implode, self-destruct, dude. This dude is literally.
And he's, despite the money that he says that he has, you can't go around paying $1 million out to people
it catches up with you
too often. This is a lot of money, This is a big deal. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, that's what it was. He didn't show up to defend himself, and with that, he's forfeited $1 million basically.
That's a big time no show.
That's a big time no show, and I mean, hopefully the lady's all right. That's not cool. Also, in the world of basketball, you see ex-commissioner David Stern, who is really like solely responsible for taking basketball worldwide.
Right.
He's in serious condition, surrounded by loved ones. It could be time.
So he's surrounded by loved ones right now, huh?
That's what they're saying.
Wow.
That's what they're saying.
He had an aneurysm, correct?
Yeah, now that's never a good look. He had a sudden brain hemorrhage, and he was at a restaurant in Manhattan, and they said the NBA put out a statement saying that he's receiving great care and he's surrounded by his loved ones. Wow. So we'll see. We will see what happens. But moving on to the big money sport, and I ain't talking about football, the Major League Baseball hot stove has heated up and it's on fire.
Is it even a stove anymore?
It's not even. This is
straight inferno.
This is a full blaze. Where do you think Lindor is going?
You know what? They're filling office right now. The Dodgers are after him. The Dodgers are supposed to be after him big time. I have no idea why.
The Dodgers are supposed to be after Mookie Betts.
They're after Mookie Betts. They're after Lindor. I mean, they're after everybody. I heard they were after you.
I don't know if I can help anymore. But what I can tell you is I ran into Stan Kasten at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and I said, how do you feel? He said, like a loser. And that is saying a lot for a man who's very wealthy, put together actually that Washington Nationals team that just won the World Series, also got the Atlanta Braves back on the right course. And that's saying a lot for that guy to feel that way. And I appreciated, as a Dodger fan, I appreciated him saying that that's how he felt, even though I don't think he's a loser. So they're trying to figure out how to get over the hump. I also really appreciate what Clayton Kershaw's response was to the Astros cheating. You saw that?
No, what did he say?
He said, you know what? That really sucks. He said, I don't really care what their punishment is unless it means that we win that World Series. He goes, I have to be honest, I was pretty surprised that I gave up that lead twice down there in Game 5. He said, he goes, we're all out here trying to get any edge we can to win. He said, but when you start using technology and cameras and video, it's really unacceptable.
I don't know if they can do anything to stop technology at this point.
Right?
What can you do?
But you know what it does do? It does actually make sense of how much more effective Clayton Kershaw was in Dodger Stadium during that series.
Yeah.
Because in Game 1, he actually came out and dealt.
Yeah.
I think he gave up 2 runs over 7 or something like that, if I remember correctly.
He wasn't even really pitching bad the game that they jumped on him. It was just that one inning. And maybe that was when they did,
they figured it out.
The Da Vinci Code.
Because you know what else he didn't pitch bad was Game 7. After he came in, which we all know that if he was available to start, he should have just started.
Right.
But in Game 7, he pitched 1, 5, and 7. He came in Game 7 and shut them down, I think, for 5 or 6 scoreless after Yu Darvish got in trouble.
You was in trouble. I don't even know if that was the character.
No. You was in trouble. But no, you was in. George Springer let it off with a double.
That had nothing to do with nothing.
But it did, though, after the fact, because if you remember, he was on his way to pitching out of that, and Cody Bellinger threw a ball. They start throwing the ball around. And then when the guy.
You throw the ball around.
When the guy's when his confidence is already on the ropes, you start throwing the ball around, forget about it.
Circus is in town.
They're calling people out of the crowd. That's how it goes. Yeah, so Rendon got in a little bit of hot water for his statements about the Hollywood lifestyle. You catch that?
Yeah, but I don't know why. He knows what's best for him and his family. So why should he stray away from that?
I think it was just the delivery. I think that's all it was.
Even if it was the delivery, listen to the message. He's saying that it's bad for him. He knows his weakness, I guess. And he said that, you know what?
It's best for him and his family to stay out the light. And he said he spoke with a lot of people.
And we've seen it before.
We have definitely seen it before.
It brings you down. LA can do that. We have that power.
Or it can build you up.
Yeah, but it matters where are you in your life? Well, you know,
that's true.
He's a family man.
That's true.
So, you know, if he's going to come and live this kind of lifestyle in LA, you got to, you know, if he wants to finger pop and all that kind of stuff, get caught up hanging out and all that.
Well, it's not like he's 2 hours away. He could drive down the street.
He could walk. It didn't even matter if he was in Washington. He could fly down.
But that's what I'm saying.
Multi-millionaire. He owns a mansion and a yacht.
Exactly. Biggest surprise of the offseason to me so far is Madison Bumgarner choosing the Arizona Diamondbacks.
He said something about his horses. He like baseball players are special people, dude.
Are you kidding me?
Something about his horses.
I wouldn't be surprised if it had something to do with massive Trump support in Arizona. And just being
so Bumgarner's a Trump supporter.
I don't know, but I know that he's from North Carolina, and he comes off to me like he could be MAGA, and I don't know
Maxi Priest and MAGA.
And if he is, it had to be very difficult for him living in San Francisco for the past 10 years.
Very.
Had to be very uncomfortable.
They put the liberal in liberal,
right? So he decided to sign for $5 and $85 million down in Arizona. For what reason I don't understand, because they don't have anything going in Arizona when it comes to being a championship contender. Maybe
that's crazy, right? He would have done better went to San Diego.
He would have done better to go to San Diego. He sure would have. I don't know. I don't understand. Dodgers signed Blake Trinan.
That's a big signing.
Which is a big signing, especially depending on how they want to use him in relation to Kenley Jansen.
I think that he's going to close.
I mean, I don't think you get him to not close.
Yeah.
You know? You want to speak about Tampa and the kid, Yoshitomo Susugo.
I'm not that familiar with his work, but his numbers look very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't know how they translate into the show.
Yeah.
Because he had 29 bombs. So over here, then that means maybe you give him love.
I'm
going about 15, 16.
Yeah.
Bat 240. Because we throw that cheese over here, boy.
There you go, that gas. Yeah. But he's going to be fooling with Hunter Renfroe, so we'll see what ends up happening. Yeah. Maybe that'll help him out.
Where they put him in the lineup.
Yeah. But he actually would have benefited from being around Tommy Pham, I think.
Yeah. What's up, fam?
And then Corey Kluber to the Rangers. Just funny, Corey Kluber, they just moved Corey Kluber. Corey Kluber's got to be maybe one of the most underappreciated aces of the modern era.
Right.
Because since he blossomed later, he didn't really ever get that crazy deal. Even the deal that he got was team friendly. And Corey Kluber can dominate with anybody during that period when he was dominant.
Well, he broke his arm. And, I think that they might be a little scared at this point.
A little gun shy.
But then you have Clevenger also that's coming up now.
Now they're talking about Clevenger to the Dodgers
as well.
They're talking about Clevenger and Lindor, and they're talking about how they don't want to give up Gavin Lux. And to me, the guy I wouldn't want to give up is Dustin May.
Oh, Dustin May. Are they going to give up Dustin
They're
May?
talking about Dustin May and Gavin Lux, and that's why.
So
they're
just swapping pieces at this point. Then
I'm not giving up Dustin May.
Yeah, he's nice.
That kid has the potential to be
a
generational talent.
Yeah, he's got the big arm.
And I'm not mad at Gavin Lux, but they're talking about Alex Verdugo.
Wow.
Yeah, Lindor, because it's 2 years of Lindor. They're talking about Verdugo.
That sounds like a book.
It's a Verdugo.
2 years of Lindor.
It's nice. It's a reflection piece.
I spent a lot of time on designing this. I call 2 years of Lindor.
Yeah, man. So
I can't give it all that up. That's like giving it all up for Anthony Davis. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of booty up there.
You're giving out a lot of booty. I don't know if I can do it.
Lux, Verdugo, and May.
I mean, this is like the cornerstone of a potential new franchise.
You can see that the older players they're phasing out. I mean, do you think that you're going to be able to get that from Red Turn now? So the Dodgers should actually be in the market for Josh Donaldson, honestly.
Yeah, and that's why they were apparently heavily in the market for Rendon.
Yeah.
So there was talk about Red Turn moving to second base, or I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest, folks. We'll keep an eye on the hot stove. But this has been an action-packed full episode of the OZone. Very happy to be back in our studio and enjoying this. And we had some technical difficulties, folks, and now we're back at it. Expect a big 2020 out of us. Want to leave you with a quote from one of my ex-girlfriend's favorites, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And it is, peace is the result of retraining your mind to process life as it is, rather than as you think it should be. We're all in this thing together, folks, and we're looking for some peace, some love, and some harmony. I'm your host, Omar Miller. Take care of one another, and this is the OZone.
OZone.
I'm just living the dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. The camera's on me, yeah.